Good afternoon, everybody. RT here with Hxro Labs, episode 25, Hxro Labs Live, and Nick Cote.
Hey.
And we are just making sure everybody's in. We got YouTube up, TradingView up, and Dave loving the intro music today. Well-groomed mustache jams. I agree. That's a well-put title for it. Nick's got a few things he wants to touch on to kick us off today. Look at the majors and some other stuff. I've got a chart that I think is very important today around the Chad whale that we've been tracking, the whale watch. And that's actually looking like it might roll over. So we're going to take a look at that, what it means for Ethereum, what that'll mean to altcoins, how I personally am balancing my portfolio to sort of be ready for all outcomes, and some key alerts going into our weekend. It's nice to have alerts set so that you don't have to stay up all night, so you don't have to worry about your positions, and you can just know what's coming in. And I don't want to look at the Bitcoin chart if it's going to range in a $30 range, right? So I just want to know certain levels. So we'll have all those alerts sorted out for you by the end of today. And what's going on? We've got Crypto Gel NL. And maybe from the Netherlands? I don't know what that NL stands for. No limit. And we got Roman, Moon over Minsk. Hey, guys. And so, yeah, we'll get into it right here, starting off with Nick. Let's slide over to your screen share without further delay.
Yeah, it's on.
Fire it up.
Cool. So I guess we'll quickly start off on US dollar today. It's approaching this key level. Like I said before, it's a macro play. Again, it's very similar to what we're seeing in crypto right now, consolidating below this major support level. Unlike crypto, this is a year-long range, right? So depending on what happens here, I think it's going to be the impetus for a large continuation of whatever happens here. If it does break to the upside, it's going to be a high momentum breakout. Probably going to make it back, at very minimum back to 12.183 or all the way back up to the range of 12.48. That's super bearish for crypto if the US dollar does break this range. So if it does respect, the support resistance flip, Wyckoff entry exit techniques that we always put out there for you guys, that's super bullish for crypto. But again, until we have a decision here, we're just going to hold off on any predictions. Quick look at the SPX. It's not a great day over in the legacy market. Stocks still retracing here this morning, going into the weekend close in a few hours. We've talked about this level for a while here. It's kind of already broken down from it. Oh, I don't like that. Look at that. So you can see here, just draw a horizontal line off the former all-time highs. Bulls really needed this level to hold the support. It looks like it's trying to fail and flip back to resistance. If that is indeed the case, where's this going to go? Well, probably back down to 32.30, 32.50. So not too far from here, but that'll actually be the first bearish market structure break that we've seen throughout this, I think this entire rally since March. So definitely something to keep eye on there. This is going to be a key level. We do expect a positive price reaction, aka bounce at that 32.30 level. But yeah, the legacy markets getting hammered aren't going to bode well for crypto. Even if we do believe at a later date, they will just detach. Currently, who's moving the most volume in crypto? Well, it's the legacy guys, right? The legacy funds, institutions, algorithmic traders. They all look at the legacy markets. And that's why we're seeing a little bit more of a correlation, since the market participants are more of the same now. So it makes total sense. Looking at Ethereum, you can see it's the exact same market structure of what we were just, actually, I'll use this Coinbase chart a little bit more clear. You can see here, right? Former support, big support level here at 380, 370, well, down to 360 to 380. Hasn't broken through it yet. If we do see a move through it, we're looking for a move above this high here, 395. That'll give me enough conviction that the bulls have returned, taken control. This is the daily chart. But until we get that, this is a bearish throwback. There's no reason to be getting long right here. You just could be longing precisely on resistance. So stay away from that. Bring this down to low time frames. You can see we're trapped in a range here, right? So this is our throwback bearish retest up here around, again, that 380 level. but this is the range throwback for the bulls, right here on the 4 hour, down there at 355. We got pretty close down there last night, like 357 and stuff. You can draw that. So you can see very tight range here, and the next big trade and momentum move that we're going to want to, expansion move that we're going to want to catch is either a breakout from this 385, 395 level to the upside, targeting at the very minimum 420, right? Right there, look at that, nice level, double tap, triple tap, verified. To the downside, you'd probably be looking at fresh lows back down to like the 270, 280 area region. Yep, right down here. So again, just simple Wyckoff order for entries and exits. Taking a look at Bitcoin, pretty much the exact same thing as Ethereum, really. It's been underperforming. This is something we've been following for a while. Ethereum has had significantly more strength and momentum behind the moves, much more volatile. Bitcoin hasn't even really retested its range throwback level. Why is it getting rejected where it is? Well, this is, 10.5 was a pretty big level before, wasn't it, right? You can just draw off a horizontal there, horizontal here. Look where price is getting rejected, right? This former the former resistance. It did try and flip the support here. It gave us a run for another $1,500. But until we break this resistance once again and flip it to support, it's tough to be, midterm bullish here. Yesterday our last stream, we were pretty bullish when we were down there, 340, expecting this reclaim of 370. Sure enough, that's happened. So again, I think everything's going to come down to what happens here on the USD, on the intraday stuff. We're going to have a weekend here, so crypto can kind of detach and do its own thing. I think if you're bull, that's probably going to be the best case. If bulls do want to make a move to the upside, it's probably going to be over the weekend, because currently the correlations between legacy, whether that be the SPX or the US dollar, are pretty strong. And right now they are not. Yeah, they're not painting in favor of crypto right now. So we need that weekend break to really see what the market wants to do.
I know you got a bearish high time frame thesis, and I'm kind of with you. I could see the bearish retest, scenario. I'll get into that in a sec, but I am leaning bull for the weekend. I've got a couple of long ideas here I want to chew on with everybody in the back end of the stream. Just got to throw that in there.
Yeah, well, I'm still bullish on the macro side of things, and this morning I was doing a lot of diving into like the central bank digital currencies, and there's over 36 different pilots going on right now, which is absolutely insane. The three biggest ones are probably the e-Corona, Canada. They've been doing a lot of investigations into central bank digital currencies. They don't have plans to launch their own right now, but they are looking into contingencies, which I thought was interesting. One of their contingencies was if cash continues to lose its importance, in daily commerce, people are using it less, which the coronavirus has definitely affected. Like,
yeah,
you can just walk around. This is globally too, right? Like,
going out of style.
Less and less places. Yeah, exactly. Less and less people want to take cash because they're afraid, of transmission of COVID. And whether you believe that or not doesn't really matter, because enough store owners believe it that it's going to affect your ability to actually use it. So that's one scenario. And the other scenario, which I thought was the most interesting, was the possible rise of a alternative form of payment or stable coin, where there are exact words. That alternative form of payment, read between the lines. It's Bitcoin Cash,
nope,
or any other digital currency, right?
That's enough. Okay, I think that's time to switch over to everything I have to say. One more mention of Bitcoin Cash and I quit. Get out of here with that shit. But no, I mean, I think we need some faster things if we want cash. I don't think Bitcoin Cash is it either.
Yeah, like China was
Nano. Let's talk about Lattice. Some new shit.
I think the other interesting point that they made was from the China's PBOCs, like all these digital central bank digital currencies, their goal is to be domestic, right? And in the future, have the ability to be interoperable between different networks. And so you could send for remittance payments or cross-border payments, things like that. Or if you're a foreigner coming into China, for example, you're issued your wallet is tied to your passport or your your phone number or something like that, some type of identity verification, right? and they call that account verification. So, but the big takeaway is that they need at least 300,000 transactions per second to actually be a reliable payment rail for domestic transfers. Currently, Ethereum, again, we're under, what was it, 15 transactions or something, and Bitcoin's at 7. So it's clearly these currencies, the future of money, are not viewed as the future of money from central banks. And just from a pure technical point of view, they can't handle the load.
No, and I really like the narrative of Bitcoin as a reserve currency, as a gold backing, kind of a standard. I think that makes sense. You can move $1 billion or $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and suddenly that's impressive because of how low the fee was. But you start getting into like coffees and stuff, and it gets a little weird. But I don't think there's going to be one be all end all. I think we already see people have their niche, their brands that they prefer. We may end up with like, a Facebook, Apple, Google type world in crypto eventually, but it's not anywhere close. And I think Dogecoin is a great example of that. People just like the things they like. They like to identify. Cryptos are so personal, especially at this early stage. So let's get something fast and cheap, and let's have 100 of them. Yeah. And then, let's go from there. I actually want to pull up Lumens right now. Stellar Lumens. I've had a request from somebody to pump their bags. I have unfortunate news for them.
Lumens was an airdrop, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Stellar Lumens. I mean, I've owned it. I've traded it. One thing people don't realize, Jeb McCaleb, I think is his name, was like he was the co-founder of Mt. Gox, if I'm not mistaken. Sort of front and center in that whole debacle, and he's also the founder of Stellar Lumens. So I don't know about all that, but I will tell you this.
Ripple.
Yeah, and Ripple and all that crap. So, but I'll tell you this: the chart doesn't look great. This is me just pulling it up from almost a month ago now, after this really nice breakout. I mean, if you look at it on the weekly, and this is the daily, but you could see on the weekly it would make this. We got a nice fat weekly W. Low, higher low, breakout. The fact that it's now broken back down below, I can't even call that support anymore. In fact, this was going to confirm resistance. So that's the short term, not great news if you're a big fan of having your bag pumped for XLM. Now, I think we can get rid of this and we can talk about RLZs, because I will trade this. I would love to have a position on this. You can trade it on leverage. It's very liquid. There's lots of juice, and when it goes, it goes. I don't think the accumulation is done yet, as this does not look like a very strong bottom given this huge stab down, and we haven't really come to test this move out. So a lot of these cryptos you can see, I always go back to like Stratus as like an example, because it's just got this like year-long accumulation that it made. And we don't have that on Lumens yet. It's not a stable bottom, and I think we have to visit this RLZ. There's a couple of lows here that look real sweepy at the very least. So I'd say, let's get into this over whatever amount of time. And what's interesting, when I'm kind of like 50-50 with the majors, but then I look at some of these other larger alts and I just think, well, they definitely need to come down and correct, just based on what the chart says. Like it would look so clean, so natural, and man, it would shake people out of the market, which is kind of what markets do. So all things leading me to the conclusion that after losing this key level pretty aggressively, not a ton of solid volume, so that's good news for the bulls, for the bulls. But if we can't regain this level, I have no interest in Stellar until we get down into this area. And man, if you're right about that and you wait for it, what a sick entry, get almost half price. So I'm keeping a close eye on this one, because I did have a trade through this on a weekly time frame and was kind of like pumped to see it really ramp up into these levels, and it never came. So I will be back, but I'm going to wait for this or a regain of that level. Something we talk about all the time. Sometimes you're just in no man's land. And did anyone see, I'm sure somebody did. Okay, before we go into that, wow, all over the map. Let's talk a little bit about sushi. I saw something somewhat, I don't know what I think about this yet. The guy comes out, Chef NOMI, basically has a big apology, and TLDR, he's very sorry about being a dick, and he's returned all $14 million worth of his Ethereum, and now is basically saying, I'm going to let the community decide how much I deserve. So what do you think, Nick? How much do you think the community is going to want to pay this guy, give this guy? Is it going to be like, hey, you're so noble, you could have scammed us and left, which you kind of did, but you came back and gave it back, so we're feeling very generous?
I'm not going to support that because he's only 2 weeks worth of work. Well, it reminded me of that. You're not paying me for the 2 weeks worth of work. You're paying me for the 14 years of learning to me be able to do this in 2 weeks. Not to mention how many people made millions of dollars off of this. A lot.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think some of the bigger, earliest guys came in, and obviously, that's where you can make a killing on these yield farms. But I think a lot of people got kind of wrecked, probably dumping through the panic of this guy exit scamming and now about being left behind. Let's pull up the chart because it's way more fun to talk about price when you can stare at it.
Yeah, it's recovered a little bit.
Is Binance the way to go? Yeah, I mean, look, this pump came out likely in response to his tweet, basically saying, hey, look, the treasury is back. So that's bullish for SUSHI. And it looks like it's right up against trendline resistance. Let's draw that up.
Yeah, essentially the development fund has $14 million of fresh powder minus whatever the community decides to give out to this guy.
I did think it was kind of funny. Like, I've never heard of SUSHI, like up until, very recently. So when he comes out, he's like, what do I deserve for creating it? It's like, well, it hasn't been around that long. How much time did you put into it? I don't know. I don't know what deserve is, especially after kind of draining the entire treasury and making everyone shit their pants. But I mean, if maybe it's just like a savage, like market manipulation play, and he's just like somehow short on it. And then
he could be. The PERP products have been live for a couple of days now.
So I wonder if he just shorted it, and now he's like, I'm going to go long and then replace the treasury and make that 14 million back, and then maybe get a further price. Can you imagine? So we should go. Somebody should check the books on FTX. Who longed it before he made that announcement? Was it him? I would, if I was him. Okay, now this is at trendline resistance. So I mean, not too sexy just yet, and that's kind of where it would stop if it was just like a little news-based pump. But let's see what it does here, because if it does break through that, you've got some nice little VPVR value high to work with, some support, resistance kind of stuff to work with. So that's SUSHI.
4.2.
Yeah, he tagged a lot of people in this, so we'll see. The saga continues. Sam Bankman-Fried bailed him out, and I wanted to also pull up. There's a few things. This guy. I want to talk a little bit about this today. Does anyone remember this? This was floating around on Twitter. Basically, this guy allegedly is down 30K, and his roommate came in. He's like, yeah, he's down 30K today, and he's just trashing it. And I actually got a little cringe watching this because I've had that moment, not 30K, but like I've been roasted on BitMEX before where, you have some high leverage going on. You set your stop loss like $12 off price, and then it like, there's just a fucking nuke candle and it goes and doesn't execute for $50 beyond your stop loss, and you get blown up. And so I retweeted this earlier with basically this photo and wanted to just touch on it quick today. Really, learning how to recognize tilt, how to step away, and then avoid revenge trading. I mean, it's so important. It's not the sexiest thing to talk about. It's not the most exciting, moon, let's go, I want to make money. But you can't make money if you don't have money. You can't grow an account if you blow your account. So shout out to anyone here who has not maybe been through what that guy's been through. I think I was primed really well by my sports betting antics back when I was in my 20s. And I did a lot of sports betting. I played a lot of poker. I was a bit of a shooter. And I didn't have an account. I just blew up what I had a couple of times, whether it was like a few hundred, a few thousand, depending on how old I was, where I was at. And so I learned the hard way very many times. And now I have that gambler's edge, which I think, like, I don't mean edge. I mean, I have that gambler's blood. So I get scared. Like when I'm on tilt, I step the fuck away from my account. I run because I know how easy it is to chase something. And suddenly you're making like, taking like 15% risk on trades or more. And anyways, I just wanted to touch on that today. One of the things you can do to do this, because it's easy to say, learn to recognize tilt. How can you recognize it? Well, journaling in your journal. Get your journals out. Again, not sexy, but if it makes you $1 million in 5 years or whatever million in 5 years, you're going to look back and be like, man, I'm really glad I learned enough about myself to recognize when I need to stop touching my account. Did I just take a big loss? Why am I in this trade? Is it because I'm pissed off about the last one? Like, really, really recognize that stuff, guys, because and then here's the other thing. And I was like this. I needed to learn that the hard way. I was actually paying for a trading course, going to this, the TRI school I talk about a lot. And I mean, they were like, yeah, journal, paper trade, do all these careful conservative things. And I was like, nah, I've been in crypto 2 years now. Like, I don't need all that. And I did. I blew up a couple things on BitMEX in my time. And it really took a rock bottom moment. I didn't lose my whole account or anything ever because I never put that much onto BitMEX. But like, I needed that moment. This guy, smash your computer, feel pissed off. I needed that to really go, okay, I get it. I'm gonna chill out now. And so, blah blah blah. Long story short, I went back. I focused entirely on the process, meticulous as fuck. Journal every day, enter every little thing into every little book. And since I made that decision, my account is up my portfolio is up over 1,200%. So, and that's, 1,200% is not a lot in the scheme of like all these 100Xs we've been seeing this summer. But if you consider that I take very little risk on every one play, like it's a slow race, guys. It's a marathon. So keep that in mind. Sometimes, taking the long way gets you there safer and faster. And you'd be amazed what compounding gains can do if you don't fucking do what that guy did. So that's my rant on today. Now let's get into a chart. Poker's taught me, risk management from poker. Poker is an incredibly well-suited skill to go along with trading. I agree. And I played a good chunk of that as well. And now I just play it as a hobby. It's fun. I don't try to grind. I actually find it nauseating to think about being like a grinder for 12 hours at a table. And I stopped. I didn't do that very long, but I stopped because I was at my poker table and I was on my phone trading crypto. I was like, maybe I don't need to be here. Maybe I have a new calling. So that was like about 2.5 years ago. Now here I am. So let's look at ETH. Ethereum is the be all end all of what's going on in crypto this summer, in my opinion. It's basically fall this time of year. And this looks really good to me short term. We came down, just mammoth dumping. And, in the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. But given where we were, that's a pretty significant drop. It's almost $200. So it was pretty ugly. People didn't like it. And of course, a lot of people were in a lot of shit coins. And so when ETH dumps 10, 20%, they dump 40, 50, 60%, right? They're leveraged basically. So with Ethereum coming in, tapping this support, regaining this level, confirming this market structure, retesting it here, all I need to see now is some volume, because volume just keeps trending lower. And this is what I want to talk about today, some of these signals, because I want to know if I should be thinking about getting my positions back, some of the ones that I offloaded through this, because I see the high time frames, and I know even when we broke out, remember you and I, Nick, were trading this live at 250. We were very fortunate to catch this little pre-bubbly breakout and just have a nice fat long going. So we were excited. And as soon as that happened, we were like, man, this is going to be such a great long when it comes back down here someday to fix this little stilt. So I am leaning towards this needing to be filled before like 600, 700, 800 new highs, whatever. So my question always is that coming now? Or do we continue up to 600 and then maybe it's like, through election or whatever, we come back down? I just want to know. So what am I going to do to find out if this squeeze up is in fact a squeeze up where I'm just going to end up here and we're going to roll over, which is, I guess, where I'm probably leaning, maybe 60%, something like that. Or are we going to just fuck around and go to new highs like we did here, right? Because I was also, if you guys remember, looking at that here, where I said, we're going to go back up into the short RLZ. And we did, and we parked and we hung out, but then we just blasted through and came back down. So these short RLZs are great locations for looking for shorts, but they're not a complete picture. So I want to get up in here. It might wick. It might put in market structure, and then I can really trade it. But here's some of the things we're going to be looking at. First of all, volume. Where the fuck are the bulls? If we're so bullish, if we're breaking up here, I need to see a big stinky buy volume bar come in. Right now, the bulls are just falling asleep. They're not here.
They're waiting for the weekend.
Exactly. And I'm with you on that. I think, with this little mini structure and this bullish retest, I do think like the weekend, and then it's going to be like, oh my God, look. And especially because like weekends tend to just, fuck with you. So it's like last weekend, long weekend, dumped into it, then dumped some more on it. And everyone's kind of trying to do other things, maybe enjoy their fam jam time on the long weekend. And then it's like, oh my God, every time I look at my bag, it's so wrecked. And then since that Saturday, what has it done? Boom, 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 squeeze you, make you regret your life. Oh my God, I got to get long. And then we crush it again. So that's what I'm leaning towards. And I want to know as much in advance, as many signals as I can to decide if this is right or wrong. So if we get a huge breakout buy volume, that'll be a tough sell for me to be getting, looking for shorts up here. But if we crawl up here over the weekend without any significant volume, that's going to be a really nice signal. Here's another really nice signal we're looking at. Long open interest on Finex. The Chad whale. We've been tracking this guy for a long time. You guys have been watching lately, and every one of these big spikes upwards was on a dump in price. In other words, somebody was buying the dip. We know that that's not retail behavior. That's smart money. That's some kind of whale. Maybe that's Bitfinex themselves. Who knows? But they were building a very long ETH position, and this could be them distributing it, offloading it, letting the public move it up, and they're just offloading while price is consolidating. So this to me is like an internal kind of gauge. And as you can see, the RSI has completely rolled over. The momentum of all of this is gone, even as it was making new highs. So there's a huge divergence in the RSI, another internal sign of weakness. So I'm watching this closely. I mean, I don't want it to go down, don't want it to go, I don't care. But it is what it is. And here it is, tapping the door after kind of getting a weak ass bounce. And now maybe, we'll see what's going to happen here. So this breaks down. That's going to be the first bearish market structure that we've had since, I guess there was a fake out, not really, but this technically broke structure here in February. But we've been bullish. Since April 2019 on long open interest, it's been a bull trend. So if that changes here, it might change before Ethereum. And that would be a really good sign for us as far as trying to figure out what the hell to do with ourselves, that perhaps this is a weaker bounce up here than we thought. And in fact, it is just a bearish retest to bounce, and we can make some money to the downside, or at the very least, consolidate our portfolio. And so that's what I wanted to touch on today as well. What am I doing with my shit coins? Nick, what are you doing with your shit coins first? I know you have some bags. You do some pre-sale investing and stuff. What are you doing with those? Are you just going to hold through whatever storm's coming? Are you offloading them? Are you hedging with leverage to short against them to make sure they're protected? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, generally I would just be using ETH short as a hedge against all of that stuff for the most part.
Okay.
I think the projects we look at have a good trending. Well, my thing is just, again, finding projects that are in line with my thesis of what's going to be trending here, with DeFi and the micro trends within it. So I don't think any of those things necessarily change just because price decreases. Obviously, from an investment standpoint, it's shitty if your investments go down. But again, we have plenty of market tools to be able to hedge against that and maintain USD value and stuff. So at this time, those needs that these projects are meeting still exist. So just because Ethereum has gone down 40% doesn't mean that Ethereum is unusable for a lot of these projects. If transaction fees are so high, it prices out your market, right? So I'm holding on to what I have at this point, and just using Ethereum as a hedge.
Yeah, and you're pretty active in leverage trading. So if we really tank down, if we get all these signs I'm talking about, you'll be short. You'll be probably making more than you're losing on those coins, and that's an important distinction. I definitely am not as active on the futures trading as you are. So there are some bags of mine that are maybe less liquid Uniswap tokens that I am skimming fully with the intention of buying back or being left behind. I'm just deciding, I'm happy with where they're at in a US dollar kind of value right now. And I do anticipate some, I won't be able to, if I have a bunch of Ethereum and this fails, I can just sell it. Not sell it down here, but you know what I mean? I can move in and out of those positions fairly easily. But some of these less liquid bags, I definitely have been skimming little bits because they're making up a pretty sizable part of my portfolio. And I just want to be in things that I don't have to really worry about it. And if it's off to new highs and it's rah bull, like I always say, there'll be many opportunities to either buy the dips on those later or buy new things with what I took out of it, whatever. Not too worried about it. And that's again, going back to journaling, all this shit, like, date it, don't marry it. If you can't stand the thought of being left behind, you will have a hard time ever playing the other side of the market, which I think something is, good to be able to do. Now, this is my thoughts on the Bitcoin and the CME pair. This is, I guess this wouldn't happen over the weekend, but this is really up to the end of September. So, I mean, I could see some chop, consolidation, multi-week kind of stuff. This looks super easy. Maybe it looks a little too easy. We've got the market structure retest, which would be right here. We've got the VPVR node, right? We've got this big old gap here. So there would be a fairly aggressive move, probably some velocity moving through here if we do get that pop up. And I think it's possible we never fill this gap, for sure. It's possible. Very improbable. While we're down here, just even if I was a bull and I was moving markets around, I'd be like, yo, let's not have any sell pressure trying to reach discovery here. Like, let's get that dealt with. So while we're down here, I was actually surprised and disappointed it didn't already fill, but I could see this very easily playing out where we just squeeze up like we talked about, and then we'll get that fill. And then the real question is, how much of this area does get play, if any? And I have one chart that I think gives us a little insight into that. I mean, this is like, I'm not buying this. I mean, if it gets down here, I'm buying it. I'm not buying that we need to go down here. I think that's my bear market PTSD speaking.
I think if we're down there, something really bad's happening.
Yeah, and it's more of that like macro,
exactly,
wave 2 economy shut down or hospitals overwhelmed, like some crazy shit. For now,
I think the second wave are going to be dampened since a lot of systems and supply chains have somewhat, adapted or put mitigations in place.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like a wave 2 scare, I'm just talking about like if that real shit happens where people are like, actually, the hospitals will be overwhelmed and then supply chains, like, I think I'm not too worried about that. That's not even on my radar right now. I think I just mean like I'm trying to think up scenarios where that kind of shit
could do it.
Yeah, they could do it. You can see
my
here.
bet's the financial crisis more so than anything.
Yeah, hyperinflation, deflation, all that crap that you're more probably suited to talk about. But we're just on this uptrend. Yeah, we dip a little above, dip a little below, but it's regressed to the mean. And this is our guide right now. It should be, because basically since the bottom back in February 2019, this has been guiding us. We, came right back down, smacked into it, bounced off it, bounced through it, back up to it, back to it. So where and how far from this can we stray? I think 83 is a level, and I want to give a little shout to 83 today. Let's check this out. Okay, first of all, pump chaser. Have we been pumping? Sure. Where's our pullback? 382. In fact, we smacked the 382 on Ethereum, so we've already hit that. For Bitcoin, not so much. So getting into here, there's your 83 right around there. This would be totally normal price action to me as far as consolidating into January. And I've got a Gann chart right here that, me and I love my Gann 50/50s, right? You get your big move up, stretch it back. Where's your 50% rule? Happens all the time. Vibrational signatures, blah, blah, blah. This chart has been getting so much respect. The one missed call that it had made that I pulled up earlier in the summer. Where is this guy here? So I had the 50/50 move. Like if this was the high, there's your 50 is down here. And I think half the time was like, I don't know, right around here. And I thought, okay, maybe we can consolidate through the summer. Didn't happen. Pushed up. We went right up into this long purple diagonal, the Gann 8-to-1. So the most powerful angle on the chart, unless maybe the 1-to-1 up the middle. So these 8-to-1s make really strong entries and exits. As you can see, it's the last angle on the chart. It would invalidate this square and we'd be having to move on. So the fact that it smacked into it, got rejected, smacked into it, and then tanked. To me, this 8-to-1 put this little top of the market. It happens to be right up at the 786 of this big short RLZ. And so, okay, now are we in Gantown? And then look at this, the 50/50 right on election day, November 3rd to the day. Half of this move up, 157 days, half of the move back down, half of the distance. So this is sort of a higher time frame thesis if we crap out here. Caveat emptor, if we crap out here. then I'm looking all around this 83, 81, 82 level. And that would really piss people off because I think a lot of people are going to be looking at 7, all these little areas, right? We always say, well, it's probably going to go through it or not get to it if everyone's looking. And don't forget about the 7s. Everyone was talking 7. So I'm going to put a bid in for 81.50 if we crap out here. And from the looks of it, that's not out of the question. I don't think it's going to be like fill the gap and go. Now, here's another thought. I'm kind of stealing the show here. Sorry about this, Nick. Get excited.
That's all good. I'm looking for the former election price action. What happened there?
Oh, perfect. Okay. So we're tag teaming this. Now, look, if I want to get to the daily, because I have a feeling we might put in a bull div. We'll see. Yeah. We need more up here to get the bull div, but basically a new low at this point. Like just say we do get that squeeze up. So MACD turns a little green. And then we get that gap fill. Should probably do this on the gap fill chart. That could be the bull div, and that's going to be a release. That's something I'm watching for. Yeah, like if we get this lower low would come in almost certainly on a bull divergence, where this just puts in a higher low. So, we bounce up. Maybe it's like this, and then we come down. It's like this. Right, so we'd have the bullish divergence working if we can get a squeeze up before this. And hey, might just run from there, fill the gap and go. So many things could happen. Mostly just watching for what's coming here, what kind of volume we see. If we squeeze up, is it going to be believable, or is it just going to be trash, faded?
Yeah.
Now, I haven't looked at the chat. I got into a huge rabbit hole just now. Sorry about that, guys.
I was just saying that S&P on the election day last time moved 8% in both directions within the matter of a few hours. So, it's not out of the question that we see some insane Darth Maul wicks, depending on the outcome of the election on that day. And crypto, again, crypto wasn't as responsive to correlations back in 2016 with legacy markets, but I would bet a Bitcoin that it's going to be this time, given the market participants and all that we talk about.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that, I don't want to get into politics, but it doesn't help that Trump is basically saying, I'm good for the stock market. Stick with me. Stock market's going up during some of the craziest shit ever. And then he's created this idea that if I don't win, the market will crash. And that'll just be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not a full crash, but maybe I think if Biden is leading the polls and there's a lot of build up to him basically being the winner before it even happens, we could see some volatility, as they like to say.
So repeat it last time.
Yeah, basically that. Except for then last time Hillary was leading the polls and then she lost. And it was just like, moon it. So I don't know.
So crypto didn't even move on the election. Like it was pretty stagnant here.
Yeah. No, it's I think at that time it was still unsure. I think the correlation is a little more pronounced now.
Definitely.
Where is it? I had an ETH BTC daily. Or ETH USD daily. I want to pull it up because somebody just mentioned basically what I was talking about is the big 382 pullback on ETH, which, as you know, is my bread and butter. And I thought that was interesting for all the scariness of this dump. A lot of people were worried, and it's like, wait a sec, no moon? When moon? I thought only moon. And certainly, this was just a nice big old tag of the 382, which is totally standard for a bull. You get your low, get your high. If we're bullish, we're going to move up aggressively. We're going to come back and make it look really violent, maximum shakeout potential. And we're just, look at this thing. And it closed above the 382 every day, except for I think like tiny little bit here, which could be unique to this chart. We'll see. So that's actually pretty sick. I like that a lot. And for what it's worth, I know when we get into these big dumps, all I talk about is shorting the bounce. I'm recognizing that. I actually journaled about it. I was like, why don't I long the bounce into the short? So if it does short, I still get a trade. Whereas if it blasts through here, I'm like, wait a sec, why didn't I long? So I have been focusing on that. And I did buy some ETH down in the 335, 340 level. Spot, nothing crazy. But yeah, I really just want this to be stop and go when we're off. But I don't think it'll be quick. Even if it does, continue, I think we're in for a boring September at best.
I want the same deployment.
My 2 cents. Yeah. And I think we all want the same thing here. Now look, let's get into some requests. We're coming up around quarter to the hour. We've got a good crowd in here today. Surely there are some shit coins out there that require a good look from the everyone here, really. I mean, there's guys in this chat who are absolute snipe traders. I know a bunch of them. And so I'm sure we can all work together and find a way to make some goddamn money this weekend. I'll tell you what I traded yesterday. AION. Oh, shit. My setup's right on here. So, yeah, a little bit of AION. I actually closed this out last night after this bull flag failed. We had this kind of thing going. It was a big fake out. Close some on the initial fake out fail. Close the rest here just below the 382. Decent little profit. Now, obviously, looking like I should have stayed in. Don't really care too much. A little salty. But this one's really nice. And I think we're seeing a lot of this in crypto right now, where you're getting these nice, this is like the ETH chart, but it's almost going ahead without it. So let's get a few of these ideas cooking in the kitchen today, in the lab.
Got some sushi cooking.
The other one I have actually drawn up is sand. Didn't get the fill on sand. It's actually one we put on Twitter. From our Wednesday stream, I forget who it was, but somebody gave us a shout to check out sand, and it looked really good. I don't know that I'll get the fill. I'm going to keep my bids working just in case there's some little stupid wick, but this would have been nice. So hopefully that does fill me, but not looking too good for a fill just yet, and that's okay. I lost $0 not getting filled.
No trade is a trade.
That's right. What do you got? Did you get sushi? Sushi?
Yeah, sushi, Uniswap. I love looking at the indexes at this point, and with Uniswap it's a perfect one. Unfortunately, it's kind of forming a rising wedge now. Key level to break that we mentioned the other day is probably going to be this 30,000 mark. So I'm bearish below this level. If we get above it, then I think there's going to be a nice little trade. This assumes like ETH rallying, so you're probably catching another 10% move up into the real test. So I'm looking at that. If this breaks down, this thing's probably going to go trying for a double bottom down there at 22,000 would be my guess. Like that. Why? Because there's no real support resistance to flip. Like the only price reaction we've had on this chart, and there's just not a lot of data. This is a 4-hour chart, right? Is back down here at this 24,000 level. So you got kind of an air gap down to that from here. If it breaks down, right, you get 11% downside to the first support where you'd probably see a bounce. So keeping an eye on that. Rising wedges. It's not generally a bullish pattern, but it hasn't confirmed itself yet. But definitely keeping an eye on that one. It's really just going to come down to what Ethereum does, right? Like this could easily just pull right back up. If the majors pull up. Other than that, we tweeted out on Sushi, this 195 level held. It looked pretty good to go retest these range highs here. We've had that news catalyst as well come in and save the day. So what are we going to be looking for here? Probably something like that. This is an intraday chart, so I don't think there's a real need to chase this right now. It doesn't look like the momentum is picking up or anything, and if anything, it looks like it's kind of died out here at diagonal. So it probably going to go back and test this level here. I think it's like a 220, 230 or something. If this does form support, whoops, then we could actually see the first real move to this 3.5 target, which is the range resistance, which we tweeted out. If this does in fact break to the upside, where's your next block that you should be looking at to take some profit? 4.5. So, it could come back here, retest there. That's probably like the most bullish thing you could see, right? Just respecting these levels, right? It's just prices are going to ping pong between the liquidity, which is what essentially forms support and resistance in the first place.
I absolutely love with the fibs, trend lines, resistance support, like why I love TA so much is just because of how clean price action is. Like even in an uptrend, you can just catch both sides of it. You're like, okay, here's where I'll have a take profit. Oh, look at that RLZ. I'll just pop my money back in the market here. then it's like, oh, we're going to continue up to this fib extension. Like, it's just so satisfying when it works. It's never perfect. But it's goddamn sexy. Now let's look at, holy shit, look at NFT. I'm going to plug my bag here because this thing just mooned on stream. So this is a fairly low liquidity coin. So let's start with that. I couldn't dump my whole bag right now. This is an old, what is apparently now a monster bag from friggin' 2018. We bought in the ICO block party, and they were building a ticketing platform, and we paid like $1 for these tokens. And and I'm poor again. And I lost it all. So that just dropped like 40%. So my point is, yeah, very illiquid. Anyways, they did a rebrand. They airdropped NFT token to all the box holders. And so you can actually see probably box on here is just dead. That's fine. They've moved their company, basically is backing the other one now. So yeah, it's just down to like nothingness. And NFT, which I'm pretty bullish on in general. I think it's pretty cool. It's up like 100% today. Holy shit. And that's actually at 23 cents. And it was just sitting. That's why I was like, we need to talk about this because it just hit friggin' 35 cents. So NFT, since it came out, obviously hasn't done much. There's not much liquidity in the pool. I guess we could actually look at that. What is in it? I feel like there's not much. Yeah, only like 59K. But the liquidity is rising, and that's good news. So in fact, yeah, a couple days ago, it was 9K. So anyways, just happy to see this thing mooning. And, this volume, albeit high versus the chart, is probably relatively still low. This is really exciting to see. I think they're building some cool shit over there. And so I actually have an old bag. I wasn't even tracking it. And then I looked at it. I was like, holy crap, that's like worth something now. So keeping a close eye on NFT. And if they can really fix that liquidity issue and add some, this one's going to be a lot of fun to trade. As Nick, you are generally quite bullish on the NFT space, as am I.
Yep, NFTs, gaming, it's all going to be big.
Yeah, that wick though, right? I know. Look at this wick, and it just about. And this is why I actually had this up when I went to look at the chart. Like it was already there, and I was like, "Holy shit! If only I had limit orders, I would have got front run anyways." But yeah, so I mean, and this is the tricky thing, like catching those wicks. Oh my god, down 40% from 10 minutes ago. So like, oops. But yeah, keep an eye on NFT. After this pump, I thought, oh, that was fun, and it ended. Nope, new highs ended. Nope, new highs, and then again just now. So somebody is really bullish on this thing, and that's good to see, even though liquidity is still a little bit low. Now, Tezos. You have to be the Tezos guy. I want to do SXP first, though.
Sure.
I have a chart. Minsky wants to see some Tezos. And you are a Tezos bull, last I heard.
Back in the day when it was pumping.
Yeah, a few months ago. Now look at this. That's kind of sexy. Right off support. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so you have my chart up right now?
I've got SXP up. So as soon as I'm done this, you dive into Tezos. Now, as you can see, I've been charting the shit out of this. This to me was like, oh, I'm going to trade this. We got bullish market structure. So I was looking to get long. I got a few longs in here. I think I added right away on this retest. I think I added on the dip to the 618. I added on the 702. I got washed out of my position here. Took a little hit there. But I've been trying to chart it along the way, and I hadn't really looked at it because I was mad at it. I was going to leave it alone, but we are now down at this key support that I had written on there. And we're right at this node of the VPVR, which we're just kind of adding to. So we've got another potential setup to work with. And here's the thing you don't want to do. And I've done this before. I was actually dangerously close to doing it right now. And that is just like taking a good trade idea, because I think the fundamentals here are good. I think the overall market cap, like things like that, Binance owns them. They're pushing them. Like, I think swipe is going to be good. So you don't want to get like roasted on your first attempt. This is actually my first time trying to long it ever. I didn't catch any of this. And like, I don't want to just like lose the flavor for it or taste for it and then just like abandon it. Cause now it's a whole new trade. Forget what happened. We're sitting at support. We're at the 886. We're at the VPVR node, sick location. So let's look at the momentum. Yeah, we got a bullish divergence working here as it came in. That's great news. Means we're coming in slowly. ready to change direction potentially. So now we're in a nice location. We're slowing the momentum. So can I get confirmation that we're actually turning directions instead of just slowing down the down? So let's see. Not really. I don't like this as confirmation of like any kind of structure as far as like, one low, two lows. I'm not going to buy this as a breakout. It's subtle. It's there. I could just long from this support. I actually don't hate that idea. And then you've got one low, two lows, three lows of protection. So there's a trade in here for sure. And if we go, let's see what that stop loss. I mean, I'm going to put this on the screen. I'm usually uncomfortable with this. I'm going to put this on there. Don't take this as financial advice. Nothing that I or Nick say should be considered financial advice. But let's say I do long here and I wash, I get down to the lows here. This is versus Bitcoin too. So if it's not too volatile, technically the majors could come down a bit and consolidate more. And but look at this, like the RR here is pretty sick. And if we did end up, I mean, I guess my first target would be the short RLZ of this range. So it'd probably be like this. I'd be looking up into here. So what's that? That's still pretty sick. That's like 10, 20 to 1. No, 8. Okay, not 20. 88.8 to the sweet spot. I mean, that's a sweet range to potentially catch here. I would not mind risking 1% of my portfolio to maybe catch this move. And if I lose, well, there goes 1%. Have a nice day. Originally, my targets were here, which would be the fib extension and the chaos levels of this. And that's also in the playing cards, obviously. So that gets, shit gets sexier, right? That's a little bit ridiculous from this level. I wouldn't trade straight to that, but up here, maybe I close. What's that?
I would say like it's always, I'd be very impressed if you were able to hold for such a long time on something like that.
Well, exactly, because it's not going to just go like this, right? It's probably going to come up. Well, that's gross. It's probably going to come up. If it did go all the way up there, it would probably come up here and then like make me regret not taking profits, come shit its pants down here, and then holding through that is unlikely for me. I'm more of like, okay, close half my position here. That's a really nice profit. Move my stop loss to break even. I've now guaranteed this is a profitable trade at that point. Maybe I even move my stop loss into profit if there's a nice pivot there. And then maybe I could hold it through the rest. But yeah, just not taking any profits through this nice first big 100% move. That's just ridiculous. You know me. I wouldn't do that. So yeah, swipe. I'm putting it on my short list. Where is it? My little pen here.
Looks good. I like the setup.
Yeah, I think it's at a really good level right now. Even if, like I said, I 40% chance, 50% chance, I think we could go down the next few weeks on the majors. But I don't know that. I'm going to take some shots here. I got all the things I need for a good trade. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess we had a request for XTZ, Tezos, one of the most staked coins out there. It's very similar to what we're seeing on these other charts, right? Very close to this major support level. I think this is 4 months of consolidate or taps at this level at the very least, back down there at 2.1. If we do move down, it's only 12% to the downside. I would try and buy this. We've already had two. I think I could hold for a third time. It did get front ran a little bit here. If it broke down, you'd probably be looking for 1.7. But on the upside, since we're talking about the upside as well, it's not just a one-way market. There's good upside here. For the first bearish retest, right? It's 21% move back up to 3.2, around 3.2 there. Good confluence going all the way back to February, right? Had multiple taps. It's flipped to support. It's held as resistance. So this just seems like a natural magnet for price. As long as these lows down here at 2.1 can hold just a little bit longer. But again, I think everything's going to come down to what happens with the majors, which for them is going to come down to what happens to the US dollar. But again, it's the weekend coming up. So crypto can do.
Yeah, I think it's time for crypto to take an exhale to the downside. In other words, bounce weekend is my takeaway. Now, let's get into rapid fire. I know you've got a wrap pretty much on the hour. We got a team meeting actually coming up in an hour after that. So, we got a wrap, but I want to get a rapid fire and we got a lot of good ideas coming in. So I'm going to start it off with BZRX. Okay.
Sure, I'll grab that C.
So this thing we talked about on stream the other day, got a really nice potential setup coming in. Confirm market structure, retest, and then it failed. But that happens a lot, and I talk about it all the time. Once you get that confirmed market structure, start hunting that RLZ, because it's usually this that gives you that juicy RR, so you don't get stopped out on this move versus filled. So I really like that tap down here around 5,000 sats. We're kind of coming up in a bearish retest town, so I don't think I'd buy it right at this moment, but regain this level or fill me up here. And then I've got some tight invalidation levels, and probably that same thing where I draw. Fuck it, what am I doing? Take this guy. Rapid fire's got me all flustered. 3, 2, 1, boom. Like this kind of area is where this trade for me would be closed out. Capture that movement and then get the fuck out. Swap.
Yeah, Saya coin. It's kind of not too much going on here. This is a coin it's old, it's been wrecked. There's going to be a lot of bag holders that haven't already sold, which I'm sure a lot did down here. We didn't get our first move up. It's made a higher low, higher high, so that's something. What we need to see is this 572 resistance level break. That would open up the door for a pretty nice expansion move to the upside. Probably be looking at your first target right there. Again, why am I grabbing this target? Well, because it's a huge weekly consolidation / resistance block. Look at that, right? Looks nice. So yeah, that would be your upside target, but I wouldn't jump into a long trade until it actually does, close above this weekly resistance block, because that would then confirm the bullish momentum. Otherwise, you're just, gambling. In terms of a trend line, this doesn't look too bad. Look at that, holding off that trend line as well. What we need to see hold as support, well, it's this weekly range right here, isn't it? Boom to boom. So what is that? 25,677. So it's above support. It's making higher highs, higher lows. Doesn't look bad. But until it breaks this range, I think we're just kind of going to be stuck in here. I would expect, if we can move it back above here, first target. God, the second one's kind of a little bit messy, isn't it? Yeah, maybe around like 136. But again, all this upside movement here assumes that the majors are doing all right, the US dollar is tanking, and right now again we're just at a huge pivot point in the markets. But we'll see what happens over the weekend. But as long as the support level here at 24.4 holds, all good.
All right, I'm going to jump into swap just because I have it up here. This one's been really nice to us as far as giving us a nice top signal and giving us a really clean level to call bottoms on, which was 55 cents. It ended up bottoming at like 49. So I think it's not bad for TA. 786 tap, fresh bullish market structure, right back in to fill us up after the market structure. Kind of crapped out here. Hasn't really taken off the way I would have liked. I think this level's kind of important. I don't think it's critical. I think this, this kind of like, whatever, zigzagging up. If we lose this low, I would be out of my long, which is like 61 cents. So if we lose that, I'm out close-ish to break even, minimal loss. But beyond that, it's looking good after this big old long downtrend. After its crazy 325x from pre-sale highs that it put in. So swap is all over my radar. Now, are you doing NIX or am I doing NIX, Nick?
You're going to do NIX and I'll finish with YFI.
I want to do NIX because this is one, you say it's moving with BTC, yeah. So look, NIX is one, I don't know, I've never owned any, but I've been, around a lot of people that are really bullish on it. It's been one of those bag holder bags since, before this, I think even. I remember the KuCoin listing was like a big thing. So this, I think it traded before this, some shittier exchange like Cryptopia or something. Anyways, yeah, looking good. Came out of this accumulation range with authority. Some other buy volume coming in. So I think it's fair to say that it's making a real push from the bulls. I would say this is arguably now support, and it needs to hold. Not directly. It's not clean. I think the volume on this is likely a little low, or the liquidity, so you're not going to get as clean levels. But if I was looking to buy, which I might, yeah, we're in that RLZ. We're in a sweet little area. So I like NIX. I mean, I think if you look back to, September 2019, so basically a year ago, And we've just been in this range since then, and there's definitely some sense of growing volume. So it is probably just going to, rally at some point, probably sooner than later. Nix looks good. I mean, is there any scenario where it just never gets up to like some sick old little rally? I doubt it. I bet all the people accumulating through here have the ability to pump the shit out of it and dump it on the poor folks that come in at the top. I don't see why they wouldn't. Rinse and repeat, same old trick. This is a good zone to be, if you're going to FOMO early.
Yep.
So I like Nix.
Final chart of the day for myself. Let me know when we're up. Cool. It's YFI. Yesterday, this thing rallied off the announcement of Coinbase. We said, this is resistance. Don't get long. Sure enough, look what happened. Could not yet break resistance on that first try. Got a 10% down move. Didn't quite get to where we wanted to see at 29.4 for that ideal entry. If we would have seen a move down to here and some support, that would have been super bullish. I would have loved that. But it's been front ran. So you're going to have to bring this down to a little smaller time frame here on the hourly. And then you can see how it's supported. These intraday levels picked up, which is an indication of, bullish momentum and stuff. When you don't get those high time frame throwbacks and it gets front ran to smaller time frames, just an indication of how strong momentum is. I do agree. This chart looks pretty good. And as long as it holds above, 29.6 level, I don't see a reason to be bearish on it. It's a governance token. The big takeaway of Coinbase adding this is that in their view, they don't see this as a security or a security risk to their own licenses that they hold. Coinbase, one of the most adherent to the regulations, working with the in the sandbox environments with SEC and other regulatory bodies. I would imagine they're doing a lot of lobbying to get some of these coins pushed through. And I think I was talking with Rob about this, that the definitions are going to be stepped back a little bit, and then maybe crypto is going to be a little bit more inclusive in the regulatory framework of what can and cannot be added on some of these exchanges and stuff. So pretty interesting to see YFI get added. And if you're another DeFi token, you're unsure of are you a utility, are you a security? This is a really good signal for you. This is really bullish in my really bullish signal that got added when it did. So yeah, the chart looks good. I think it's going to inevitably break these levels and run at the very minimum back up to that 36.5 level, which is the intraday resistance.
All right. You hear me, Nick?
Yep.
Okay. Rendezvous as I jump back in, so the shots may be missed, but hey, he's back. Now look, I got up here. Yeah, so sometimes that happens where, yeah, producer's scrambling now. He's gonna have to set that shot up again. Good old Wirecast, always throwing curveballs on a Friday afternoon. Now, hope you guys had a really good weekend. You know what? Sorry, Jonesy, I gotta show this chart. Sorry, guys. We're going to do 1 minute on this chart. Give me a clock because Jonesy brought it up. He's here with us every single day, and it looks like exactly what he said, which is really good. So YFII, no idea what this coin does. It is trading on Binance. So take that for what it is, a little slight stamp of non-rug pull approval. This thing just looks primed. And if YFI is going to be bullish, I actually missed your take on that, Nick, because of the rendezvous restart. But I mean, yeah, this thing's got I'm ready written all over it. I mean, arguably that 4-hour close was your signal, and it could move. You know me, been saying it all day. I'd probably get real chintzy and just wait here, depending on why I'm longing it. If like Wi-Fi moons and I'm just trying to echo pump it, I'm just buying it. That's a little riskier. If I'm looking for a long through the next week or two, I'm looking for this retrace. So we'll see. But no doubt this thing has room to go. And if Wi-Fi is going to be rallying, good. Okay. Sorry, Jonesy. I did it for you. I mean, sorry, Nick. I did that for Jonesy. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Hit us with a sub and a like if you haven't already. I bet there's a few of you watching, enjoying this shit, and you just forgot to sub. So if you could, I'd appreciate it. Let us know we're doing the good stuff, and comment with anything you'd like to see. Maybe a new segment, some new ideas, whatever you guys have that you want. You're like, I want more news. I want more farming. Hit us up in the comments and let us know. Now, today's Friday, so we're heading into the crypto weekend. It's going to be volatile, hopefully alongside because that's where my money will be placed. And let's see what the Dixie does when it opens up, on Sunday night?
Yeah, Sunday around 3 or 2.
2 or 3 on Sunday. We'll be keeping an eye on the US dollar for how that opens. That's going to really set us up for the next week, month, quarter. And we'll be keeping you updated on that all the way through. Until next time, everybody, have a wonderful weekend and always play from a position of strength.
Don't FOMO.
Don't FOMO.